Hi there and welcome back to our temporary location in Vietnam, where I will be covering Walking After You, who are one of the, usually we only do Japanese bands on this channel, but we've added a couple of Korean groups simply because of the fact that when we did them on our World Tour Wednesdays section, they got a lot of support and a lot of people were saying, hey, check out more, so we thought, hey, let's not be sticklers for rules, let's bring these groups across into our normal fare of regular listening bands. And so Walking After You are one of the ones who we've been really enjoying, a Korean, I guess you could say pop rock group, all female, interesting stuff. The first song I heard by them, I was kind of like lukewarm. I was like, this is good, I like it. Had a lot of things I liked, lots of impact. I like the fact it wasn't twiddly. The song overall wasn't massively a favourite of mine, but I liked their whole style and sound. The second one we heard, Adolescence, was just brilliant. I really loved that. It was a bit poppy, but it just works on every level. Anyway, moving on to our third song now. This is a song called Burn by Walking After You, and I'm really interested in seeing where they go with this one. So follow with us. That's a big dramatic intro. Oh, that synth keeps going up. This is much more a straight charging rock song than their previous ones before, which were more melodically based. I love the way they're playing the difference between the quiet and the loud, the stop, the start, the tension and the relief. Ooh, early guitar solo. It does just feel more like a sort of a charging sort of 70s or 80s maybe style fist pump along rock song, which is a nice contrast from what we've heard from them before. Nice build up. Good choice to slow the beat there, that's really good timing. Okay. Well, I mean, we directed by Matt Rustling. Don't know who he is. Yeah, surprising. I mean, I'm guessing this is an earlier song by them, just by the way it's all sort of produced. It's very much like an indie style video, this, isn't it? Oh, copyright 2019. Fair enough. I think one of the things that really hits me about this group when I hear them is that every time we hear them, this now being the third song we've listened to by them, every song seems to have its own distinct identity, and that's something I really like in a group. Whether they win, lose, or draw every particular individual song, if each song has its own identity, then you can't help but listen to it and just be kind of impressed that they're at least trying and they're not just resting on the laurels and doing the same thing over and over again, especially when it's a group who are very young in their career, from everything I've gathered and everything I've heard and everything I've seen. I liked this. This is not my favourite song because I liked Adolescence so much. I thought that was a fantastic song. This kind of sits in between the other two. I don't know exactly how much I like this, because I think this is one of those ones that's going to grow on you with more listens, and it's definitely one of those songs where you need to be in the right circumstances. I think if you're in a sort of mood where you want something fist pumping, either you're having a bad day or you're going for a jog or you just need something energetic to get you out of bed in the morning, this is one of those songs that I think will work quite well. It just seems to have that sort of energy. There wasn't much going on in it melodically. I mean, for a band who have such a fantastic lead singer, she's got an amazingly great voice. It is quite interesting to hear that they don't have to rely on that at all times. They're willing to do a song like this, which was kind of all about the instrumentation instead. I mean, noticeably, one of the things that I really picked up on there is that, I mean, from the beginning, you have the synth who's not doing anything complicated. It's just operating as a sort of a increasing pitch to build up the tension. Guitars, again, not doing anything particularly complicated, but the energy was there. It's rocking along. You know, they build up to each bit. They execute just enough change. And this is one of the things I was talking about before as well. This is one of those bands. I mean, I don't know how musically adept and talented they are, but they come across as a band who, if they are really virtuoso quality, they don't feel the need to shove that in your face. It's more about effectiveness. I noticed this on the first song we heard by them, which was a slower song, and they were just really good at everything down to the sort of very machine gun snare style drum fills. And in the more poppy song, Adolescence, where everything was kind of very simple, but just everything was well executed, the right thing happening at the right time, the right changes in tone at the right time, just enough impact to make everything work in its most simple and raw form. And I think that's quite good. You can get a lot by going back to basics and really, just writing your song from the ground up in a good, effective way, rather than trying to steer everything with like twiddly bits of arrangement. So maybe not the most detailed band you ever heard, but very good at doing what they do in that sense. And this song kind of proved that again. Like I say, there wasn't, for a song that was so instrumentationally driven, there wasn't a huge amount of twiddling going on. Even the solo was comparatively simple, but it just really worked. Like I say, that drum bit where the drums went down to like a half or a quarter time at just the right point, just to really accentuate the end of a big build-up. It feels like this is a group who, rather than, and this is something that I really respect, I should point out. I'm not saying this, some people might see this as detriment, but to me this is a real plus, especially considering what a lot of their peers might do in a similar situation. I think this is a group who, they, instead of trying to maximize everything through twiddling and just being like great musicians, this is a band who want to write a song where everything fits in its place. And noticeably, in all of their songs, everything fits in its place, it flows. Whether you like the song or not, whether you want to hear more sort of musical mastery or not, they just know how to make everything work. So you kind of get to the end of a song and go, okay, I guess this is the best way of wording it. Okay, any band maybe could have played that. They weren't sort of taking advantage of their musicianship or having a really great singer. But they did play it. They were the ones who did it. They were the ones who knew how to fit that song together perfectly and execute it in the final analysis. So to me, that's just an example of a band who are very mature at doing what they're doing, who know, who are as good at being simple as they are at being complicated. I mean, one of the examples I often give for this is because if you think about a band like Blur, who for most of the world, I know in America they only knew Song 2, but for most of the world, we know they have such a massive variation of songs, everything from sort of, borderline classical songs, poppy songs, jazzy songs, rock songs, experimental songs. They kind of had everything, and they've had singles in virtually every genre imaginable as well. And they had amazing guitarist, amazing bass player. Okay, their singer was kind of run-of-the-mill, but he was very good at doing other things. They had some really talented musicians. And yet, when they did something like Song 2, Song 2 worked because you needed people who were that good to know how to construct something simple. Knowing how to make something simple sometimes requires enough experience to know what works and what doesn't. And so when I listen to a band like this, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, not, oh, that's a simple song. I'm thinking, oh, that's a band who is smart enough to make a simple song that works and that flows and it's rewarding and that never gets dull. So yeah, I really like that. Thought it was a good length as well executed. The video is much of a muchness. It's kind of a normal Walking After You videos don't seem to exactly be what you call high budget, so it was well executed enough. That's the main thing. But yeah, really enjoyed that. Looking forward to hearing more from them. But as always, if you know the band, get in the comments, tell us what you think. Do you like this song? Is it one of your favourites? Is it one of your least favourites? If you don't know the band, tell us what you think as well. What do you think of my analysis of it? I mean, I'm trying to give my own subjective opinion as someone who's worked in the music industry and worked with a lot of artists before, but you guys might see it in a different way. And as always, if you want to get more in depth, then we have room for giving song suggestions especially, but lots of conversation on our Discord and our Reddit, as well as our Facebook and Twitter and our Patreon if you really like us, because we don't make any money out of doing this channel. But thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I really hope you enjoy what you hear. But feel free to check out more of the music we have on the channel, and there'll obviously be more coming in the future as always. But for now, from Vietnam, where I temporarily am before I go back to Japan, ciao ciao.